So there you have it. They finally did manage to get into court after nearly 20 minutes of the crowds boxing Sanjay Dutt's car in, as cameras tried to get the optimal pictures, fans tried to get the last look, and Sanjay Dutt could not make his way out of the car to get to the gates of the special Tara court, where he is now going to surrender. As we have been told by our reporters on the ground, the process of surrendering will take anywhere between 1.5 to 2 hours. After that, he will, in all likelihood, be taken to the King Arthur Jail in Mumbai, after which he will be taken to the Yedawada Jail in Pune. That is the sequence of events that is going to be followed from now on. And of course, once he is at the Yedawada Jail, that's where he is going to be for the next 42 months. That's the amount of time that Sanjay Dutt will have to spend in prison. This after he was convicted by the Supreme Court, or I should in fact say his conviction was upheld by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court sentencing him to 5 years in prison on charges of having a weapon. This was the AK-56 that he possessed in 1993 in context of the Bombay blasts. He had spent 18 months in prison before, and now 42 months in prison again. That's what lies ahead for Sanjay Dutt. It has been 2 months since that final verdict came from the Supreme Court. He was given, of course, one original month, which is the amount of time given by courts to anybody who has been convicted to surrender. It's time to wrap up people's affairs, take care of things they need to take care of. In this particular case, he then applied for another month, and he had applied for 6 months and he got another month on the grounds that he had responsibilities, particularly to producers. And that is something that the Supreme Court looked at. They gave him an extra month. Those 2 months are now over, and you can see Sanjay Dutt in front of his car as he is waiting to make his way towards the door. Sanjay Dutt did just a short while ago manage to make his way from the car through the crowd of people, the hordes who were boxing him in. He's accompanied by his sister Priya Dutt, who is also in the car with him. He had to, as you can see there on your screens, get back into the car because the people would not let him pass. We saw Mahesh Bhatt, who's with him in that car, the director, come out and appeal to people to make room. We saw police coming out and trying to separate a route. Finally, of course, there was a certain amount of success. A path was cleared and he was taken through into the Tara court, where in front of a judge he will surrender. The processes will then be followed, and then of course they will take him to the King Arthur Court. That is how matters stand on that big breaking story we're bringing you at this hour. Sanjay Dutt getting ready to spend the next 42 months in prison. It has been 20 years since the first arrest of Sanjay Dutt happened, when the first charges of possession were leveled against him. Since then, Sanjay Dutt's life has been on a seesaw. He was in prison early in the 2000s. He was out of prison. He was doing movies. Then, of course, the issue about whether he should go back into jail or not came up. We saw bail proceedings which were taking place. We saw, he was living under the radar, and that's something he made very clear when he said that he was not going to appeal for a pardon. He was going to accept whatever he had to. He would accept what the Supreme Court had decided. He would hand himself over to the law, and that is exactly what we are seeing him do. We saw those tearful scenes a little over a month ago when he said that he was ready to accept whatever punishment that had been given to him, that his last 20 years had been those of repentance and reform, and he was willing to pay the price, and that is the price, as we know, he is paying. Now let's go over to Tejas Mehta, who is really going to put all this in context for us. Tejas, we know that at this point, Sanjay Dutt has reached the Tara court. He's managed to, after a long time, through huge crowds, make his way in. And now, of course, he is going to surrender. Just put the whole picture in perspective for us.
Well, first of all, this delay of about 15 to 20 minutes at the Tara court itself, I think largely the police is to be blamed for this, given the fact that the crowd which is there are onlookers also, but it's also the media, all different channels across the country want to cover this event as it happens live, every moment of it. and the police could have made sufficient arrangements there itself, blocking the road, asking the media to be in one particular location. That's exactly what Sanjay Dutt, as you're mentioning, was really fearing, and therefore this whole this whole drama we are seeing now, taking at least 20 minutes just come out of the car, is largely because of that. Now that he has managed to enter the court, this is as per the normal procedure. Whenever an accused is found guilty, the conviction takes place, then the court says you have got to surrender yourself to the court which tried you, and that's exactly what the Supreme Court had said, that you have got to surrender yourself on the 16th of this month, May, and before the trial court. Now, the trial court is the Tata court, which has now been shifted from the Arthur Road jail, which was there earlier. It has been moved to South Mumbai in the area, or in the port area itself. It's a very tiny narrow gully almost, where hardly about 3 cars can, fit side by side. That's how small the road really is. The one side of the road is always used for parking. So this chaos we are seeing was largely expected. Now that he has entered inside, the proceedings will really begin inside. The procedure for sending him to a local court will really begin. Also, the judge will, mark in his records also that yes, he has, as per the direction of the Supreme Court, come to the Tata court and surrendered himself. Not only he, but there are others also who have got to surrender. So all those will be taken into account. His surrendering process will be taken into account, and then his custody will be handed over to the police per se. It's a judicial custody. It goes to the local jail in Mumbai. That's the Arthur Road jail. So that's where the custody really will go. At this point of time, we're not exactly sure whether they'll take him to the Arthur Road jail or not. That is a possibility. It's a minute possibility. They could take him to the Arthur Road jail, where they'll carry out these medical tests, and that's again as per procedure. And then from there, he'll be once again taken to Pune. That's exactly where we believe, the Yerwada jail,
right,
where he will be, lodged for the next 3.5 years. So this is likely to take another 2 hours to complete the proceedings in the court, and then take him to the Arthur Road jail, and from there he will come probably by this evening to Yerwada jail.
Thank you, Tejas, for joining us with those details. Tejas Mehta there talking about Sanjay Dutt reaching the Tata court. He left about an hour ago from his home, made his way to the Tata court. He has now gone inside, where he will surrender.